So my goal on this channel is to get more people into STEM related hobbies. When I was looking into different hobbies that people could have on YouTube, I saw zero in STEM. Maybe like gaming, maybe coding, but other than that, nothing. My thought process is that I feel like a lot of people don't realize that STEM can be a hobby. So please use this channel as your jumping off point to find a STEM hobby that works well for you. I'm going to do my best to present you with some information to hopefully help guide your process. And with today's topic, I've been tasked to find some STEM hobbies based on different personalities or interests that people have outside of STEM. Related to STEM, maybe have a few different transferable skills to STEM. That's kind of where I wanted to focus, to where it's like if you have this interest, you probably have this skill set, which means that you would probably do really well in the STEM area. That was my task. I'm coming to you with about four, give or take, different interests that you may already have that could really just translate very well into a STEM related hobby. So if that interests you, stay tuned. Okay, the first hobby that we're going to explore is something that's pretty big, I think has been big for the past at least decade, is astrology and maybe even numerology. So my thought is if you are into astrology, which is I think a lot of just observing and identifying birth charts and other charts and the characteristics that go with different signs and all of that, I feel like you would be really great with any identification hobby. Some identification hobbies that are more popular are things like bird watching, which don't click out. If you don't like birds, that's fine. There are many other things you could identify, though I think birds are actually very fascinating. Something that I actually really like that may sound a little weird is parasitology. And yes, parasitology. The reason that I suggest this, especially if you like astrology, is because there are different classes of parasites. I think a lot of people think of just like, I don't know, your worms, you maybe think of amoebas, but there are a few others. And with the different types of parasites, you typically have different life cycles, you have different hosts, both like their final host and their intermediate hosts, which I think is very interesting just to see the life cycle of how these organisms are just so specific in which host they need in order to grow, as well as just how to get rid of them. I think once you really look into just the overall life cycle of a parasite, oh God, this sounds weird. The reason that I think this would be interesting for somebody who is into astrology and numerology is that once you really get into the life cycle of a parasite, which is something I'm sure it's like you never thought we'd get here. Astrology, parasitology, two different things. But once you really get into it, you just see how these organisms are very specific and they need very specific things in order to make their dreams come true. Parasitology is just one example. I think also different identification, such as just being able to do, if you were to get a field guide and get a field guide based on just wherever you're living. I live in the Piedmont area. So with that, I can have my field guide to where I can identify different plants and trees, as well as different aquatic wildlife, etc. I think that's really cool, just to be able to just be out in the wild and actually be able to identify that, oh, I actually know what this thing is. It may be a stretch, but I'm trying here, so work with me, please. All right, on to the next hobby, makeup and nails. So with this one, with makeup and nails, you have a set of tools typically, or supplies. You are typically pretty good with your hands, especially if you're doing nail art. And then even just like lashes with makeup. I have tried to put on my own lashes. One, it's sensory hell for me. I do not like lashes in general, but I do like the look of it. So I'll try. But I just know like there's a lot of like the sticky glue, as well as the tongs? Tweezers. The tweezers that you have to use. So little small things that you're kind of putting together and kind of welding together. So with this, I feel that if you're into things like putting on lashes or nails, robotics, robotics, potentially. Soldering electronics, potentially. With that, I was watching this video the other day of this guy. I think he's soldering something with electronics, and actually maybe it was in the same realm, like electronics. I think he was using maybe like a glue for something, and it was just so delicate. I was like, wow, like this kind of reminds me, because you had to put on a very thin layer. I was like, this reminds me of like just applying lashes or even like your acrylic nails. And it's just a transferable skill that you would never think of, but it works. So I'll put some more examples. I'm going to show like a little bit just so that you see like what soldering is, and I would consider it. I would definitely consider it. Okay, for this next one, I know a lot of people are into things like photography and the arts in general. A lot of artists out there. Something that I think could work for you, which you probably actually are already into, is astronomy. I know you're probably wondering why I didn't suggest astronomy for astrologists. They get mixed up all the time. I just didn't want to like add that to your mix. But if you're into photography, NASA just has so much information out there already and really cool photographs of what they're doing with just the different satellites. There are also lots of just lectures that you can go to that are already out there for you, both online and in person, that I just think this would be great, especially if you're already a person that likes to go out and explore because you're into photography, or as an artist getting inspiration out in the wild. You're probably more likely to go out to a lecture to learn more. So I think this would actually work really well for you. So consider astronomy. Most recently, I actually went to a lecture from Neil deGrasse Tyson, which I'll cover a little bit later, and it was called Astronomy Bizarre. And we just talked so much about just a lot of weird things that happen in space. So I feel like if you can find cool lectures like that and just learn more as well as observe the photography that happens from that, I think you'd really like it. Let me know if you decide to check it out. And the last one that I will cover is if you're into fashion, if you're a little fashion human out there. I'm like stepping into that. I haven't always been. I hope you never find any photos of me when I was younger. Definitely not into fashion, but more recently, I've just been dabbling into it. But with that, I feel that you would be very into textiles potentially, especially when it comes to wearables or different textiles in order to make different things throughout just the engineering process. For example, there is this really cool founder that I've actually gotten a chance to know. Her company is called Lumia. And with Lumia, they're creating these very flexible circuits that you can put into fabrics for wearables. And it's just really cool to see some of the projects that have come out of that. I did sit through when I was there, kind of like a workshop that they have for a new product that they launched, teaching you how to basically create these circuits and everything that you need in order to make whatever project you're doing. It's a place that I really want to learn more about. So I'm not there yet, but I think this is really a good place to start for you if you are someone who's into fashion, has been interested in learning more about wearables, or just textiles in general. Another really cool thing that I have been looking into is plastic repurposing. At my local makerspace, there is an artist there who's taking type 2 and type 5 plastics, melting them down and turning them into different use cases. For example, I know she's creating a park bench, which I think is really cool. Just these plastics that typically either wouldn't get recycled or that we don't really just think of truly reusing other than just putting them in the recycling bin. She's actually taking them and turning into something that could be really useful. So that is something that I plan to look into, and I'd love to know what you think about it. So those are my suggestions of a few different STEM-related hobbies that you could try if you are into things that are seemingly non-STEM related. I know that there are so many other just transferable interests and skills that transfer really well into STEM. If you have any other ones that you can think of, please drop them below. I really tried to pick some that I thought were more popular based on some of the other hobby-related videos that I was seeing on YouTube. But let me know what you think. Also, if you could do me a favor, I would love if you were to subscribe to this channel, as well as like it and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on anything that you're going to try. That really helps with the algorithm because I am trying to get as many people as possible into STEM, no matter what their background is. That is my mission, and I'm super excited to just see who we can add to this community. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.